Welcome. I am Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, abundance coach, author, and host of the award-winning Don't Shrink to Fit podcast, which recently won the Woman in Podcasting Award in the coaching category. Over the past 15 years, I have the privilege of connecting with women from around the world, and I am here to share all the tools I have learned along the way to help you uncover new possibilities in your life. In this space, you will hear impactful stories from women who have walked in similar shoes, sharing their wisdom and insights. Each week, I welcome a new guest, open and ready to support you on your journey. Together, through spirituality and coaching, we will explore your passions, reveal your inner gifts, and embrace possibilities you may not have thought were within reach. Let's grow beyond limits, so you never have to shrink to fit again. Today, I am joined by Liz Clifton, who is here to help us shift our mindset around self-care, self-love, and giving ourselves permission to pause. Liz's mission is to empower at least 3 million individuals of any species to cultivate clarity, calm, confidence, and authentic communication so they can fully be themselves with anyone, anywhere, and at any time. She also encouraged at least 3 minutes of daily self care joy, reminding us that taking time for ourselves isn't selfish, it's essential. So get ready for an empowering conversation that will help you release the guilt and embrace the care you deserve.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're so right. That pause is so massive. And I've just been starting some yoga teacher training, which I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
doing like distantly with amazing group of people in America. And one of my favorite sessions so far was the rest session. We
Right.
just got to be, to
Mm-hmm.
just reset. So yes, that pause, the powerful pause.
And the thing is that sometimes we are in a state of mind that we think that if we are not doing something, if we're not being productive, if we're not generating something, we're wasting time. And we don't understand that that pause is what recharges to actually bring to the table the best of ourselves because it's a clean energy, a balanced energy, and not a rush energy or toxic energy or contaminated energy. So I am always encouraging my clients, to pause. If you cannot take a 30-minute, take a 5, but take some time for yourself where you can regroup, where you can just be in the moment, when you can enjoy that breathing that we take for granted every day.
Yeah, I love that. And it's where that take three for you, it's where that whole mission comes from,
Mm-hmm.
is in those times when everything is so full, just take 3 seconds.
Right.
It's a beginning, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and if you lean on that breath that you were mentioning, like the magic of our breath, if you just take one breath in, breathe in for like the count of one, and then you breathe out for the count of two. That's 3 seconds in total, but that's
Mm-hmm.
enough to start to calm you because you've got the longer out breath, the longer exhale. So, literally, that 3 seconds can
Yeah.
actually really start to make a difference.
And we don't realize the time that 3 seconds is. I used to work on TV many years ago, and a commercial is 15 seconds. It's a long time, but we don't realize that. We are like, oh no, a minute goes by like that. No, that's 4 commercials. And if you start paying attention to that, then, you start realizing that you actually do have the time to pause. And that's a gift we give to ourselves. But I wanted to get curious about the beginning and all this with you because I was reading in your bio that you had an aha moment when your kid was 2 years old and somebody asked you, why are you still breastfeeding a 2-year-old baby, which there is no judgment. There is people that breastfeed kids until they're even 3 years old or older, and that's their choice. But for you was an aha moment. Can you bring us back to that time?
100%. And you've actually touched on it there. You said a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, I've known mums that have breastfed all the way up to like 5, 6 year old kids. So, whatever you choose is
Mm-hmm.
perfect for you and your child, and it gets to be a choice. What I realized in that moment was, wow, actually, I get to make a choice. I'd forgotten to choose anything in my life. At that point, I was right at the end of 15 years in a really dysfunctional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that one question started me thinking, oh, okay, if I have a choice with this, wow, I get a choice in everything. I can choose. I can choose to step away from that relationship. I can
Mm-hmm.
choose to set a better example, a better role model for
Mm-hmm.
all my girls. So that was my youngest at that point, and she was 2. And then my eldest was like 12. And I realized I've now understood I get a choice. I
Mm-hmm.
think somewhere about when I was 18, I forgot that I had a choice. I stepped into this relationship and I was just like, yes, okay, whatever you say, I'm going to be a good girl. I'm going to do as I'm told. And then I was in that point as I gave birth to my children, I was listening to the doctors. Yes, okay, I will walk up and down the stairs in my labor, and this will
Mm-hmm.
cause me complications because I should have listened to my body, and I will continue just working for my kids and stopping thinking. So in that moment, it began that whole like cycle of choice, which then over time has led me to what I'm doing now, which is supporting other people to make choices because we all get to choose.
Yeah, and we go with this paradigm of being a good girl. It's so crazy how we accept as facts the opinion of other people, and we make it our own rules, our own conditions to an extent, and we don't realize that, especially when we have daughters, that we're passing down that belief. We're telling them you do what you're told. And if you make your partner happy, no matter what price you're paying, right? Then you're being a good girl, you're being a good wife, you're being a good mom if you do A, B, and C. And we do have that privilege of making choices. And we don't know that until we make the first one. And we are like, ooh, the world didn't stop. Nothing happened. I'm still alive. Oh, maybe I should try another one and another one. And then you learn your value, and you stop giving discounts, and you stop saying yes to them and not to you. And I think that when you are in that moment, and I try to teach that to my girls, oh my God, sometimes I'm like nagging them. I have taught them by example, but nobody learns in other people's head. They got to go through their own experience to say, oh yeah, the fire is hot. Now I burn my hand, even though I told you 1,000 times not to touch the fire. And I think that's just human nature. You and I have done, excuse me, the same thing until we made that choice. And until we realize, this worked for me, I'm going to make a second choice and a third choice. And then, like I wrote a book, and I wrote in one of the episodes, I learned how I like my ex because I didn't emulate anymore. I wasn't anymore that girl that if my boyfriend or my husband liked certain thing, I like it too. So I can feel I was fitting in, you know. I found my power by learning. One day I literally cook eggs in different ways and tried them all, just like in the movie Runaway Bride. And I said, and I go, okay, I like it poached, I like it fried, I like it scrambled, I like all the variety of eggs. And I'm like, I like a poached the best. But at the end of the day, I also like eggs in my cake. So I like eggs however I like them, whenever I want them, right? And that's a
Yes.
choice we have. And unfortunately, that's a lesson that we don't learn when we're 15 or 16. But that's okay. Even the knowledge, even us telling our daughters, even when they don't believe us, that they have that choice, that'll stay in the back of their head. And eventually it's going to click and it's going to go, wait a minute, I have a choice. And they're going to start making those choices. And really comes with maturity, finding who you are and loving who you are, accepting who you are, and, and, and just being you with no excuses and no judgment. And I love that. I love that you had that aha moment that totally changed your life.
And it was just from a couple of words. And I think that's the most amazing thing. Like we were speaking about before we came live into this space,
Mm-hmm.
that when you feel something, do you know what? Say it, do it, because you never know how much those couple of words, that tiny action, even that tiny facial expression is going to
Mm-hmm.
support somebody else with their own aha moment. And it could be just as powerful as that.
Yeah, and our body is a thermostat to an extent. Our body tells us, and oftentimes we take it for granted, like when we have a gut feeling and we go, no, it's okay. You had that gut feeling. You can call it your angels, you can call it your God, you can call it the universe, you can call it God, however you choose to call it. It's a sign that is telling you something is not aligned. And when something is not aligned, it demands for you to take action. And maybe that action is to take a step back, and that's okay too, But when you are in tune with yourself and you are open to receive those messages, it's pretty easy to navigate this crazy life,
Oh, I love that. And it's like you said, when you're in tune, when you're connected, it's really easy. That
Mm-hmm.
journey to getting connected, it can be tricky. And
Yeah.
that's where that like listening to yourself and just noticing, oh, does that feel a bit sticky? Am I feeling, a bit of old panic or old fear, a bit of old
Mm-hmm.
anxiety when
Mm-hmm.
that situation or that specific kind of item is brought up? And then just beginning to notice how you're feeling
Yeah.
and starting to realize that you have choices, like so powerful.
So, walk me through the process that a client of yours will go through with you. So, they look for you because they feel what?
Ooh, exciting. Okay. So often they'll look
Mm-hmm.
for me because they're feeling stuck in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my clients have come to me at midlife. So I'm happy always to support anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
the universe will provide,
That's what you
who we get
attract.
to. Exactly, exactly. And after listening to your manifestation podcast, if you haven't listened, go and check it out.
Thank
Um,
you.
oh, you're so welcome. It's really having focus on what you want to support people with. So I
Mm-hmm.
love to support people who are feeling stuck and helping them refine their connection to themselves that quite often they haven't had since they were a little tiny girl. And it's going back in and it's looking at, well, what got in the way? What was it that stopped that connection? What was it
Mm-hmm.
that stopped you knowing how you're feeling? And as you get to that, you clear that away. And then you can start to rebuild. And that's where you start to discover your choices. You start to refine your voice. And then you start to look at, hey, what do I actually want to go and achieve? So each of those levels, obviously is different with every client. So if it's one to one, then I'm just working alongside that client at their own pace. If it's something in a group, then they get the opportunity to go through, monthly sessions, but of course, always have that one to one support and, questions and answers as well. So some
Mm-hmm.
people love that one to one I do. I love, that full attention on you. It's like it's your
Mm-hmm.
time, it's your space. And other people prefer it in that group setting, as well, or a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also where the other species come in. So once I stepped out of that relationship and I moved away and, split, well, the family split with my daughters as I did. But
Mm-hmm.
we then rescued my first Romanian street dog. And through rehabilitating her, building up her self confidence, her voice, that's where I was building mine as well. So that's where that other species part of like my mission comes in too. So often the people I'm working with, they've perhaps come across me from supporting their dog. So they're worried that, they're fearful, they're anxious. What it turns out is that actually your animals are reflecting you. So we end up doing the same work.
Right. That is so true. And now, not now, but in the last few years, this emotional support animals has become very popular when they always have been emotionally supporting us. You know, I mean, every dog I ever had knew that something was wrong with me without me having to sit with my dog and say, let me tell you what's going on. The dog immediately knew it. In the same relationship, my daughter has a cat, and that cat knows when he has to go hide or when he needs to just sit next to her because she might be going through something. And animals have that perception, that sensitivity that we do have too, but we are not in touch with it all the time. And another thing I wanted to touch that you just said is that child that we have inside that we think is no longer with us because we're not that age anymore. And I always tell my clients we need to honor every stage of our life, the 6-year old, the 15-year old, the 21-year old, whatever age that you are, you need to honor that soul that is inside of you because you are who you are because she went through what she went through. And in the same way that we honor them, let's celebrate them too, and let's celebrate that kid and bring her back so we don't lose the curiosity, we don't lose the excitement. My husband always said to me, you're like a kid, because you get excited about things. And I'm like, why I wouldn't get excited about things? Because I'm 58, I'm not going to be excited about things. No, I want to get excited about things and I want to feel that excitement full force. I want to be joyful and have expectations. And I don't care if things at the end of the day doesn't work the way I want it. But that moment when you feel all those emotions and you're full with those emotions, that's priceless. And that's what a kid feels when you tell them, do you want to go for ice cream? Or did you want to ride your bicycle? Or open your window and put your head out so you can feel the air in your face. Those things we forget and we think that we have to live in the back, in the past because, oh, now I am an adult and the society or whoever, expect us to be certain way. We don't have to be any way but the way we want to be. And that's again a choice. And if we will be more in touch and more aware of the choices that we have, I'm sure that this world would be a lot happier.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. And I think it's that daily joy, giving yourself the gift of daily joy. And again, you can start with just a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Smile. Just literally smiling is releasing those endorphins. Smile at yourself in the mirror. You've got double release of endorphins because you're seeing yourself smile too.
True. True. And
Go
your brain doesn't
share.
know. Your brain doesn't know that you're just not happy in that moment, but you're smiling. It's like we can trick our brain, right? I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yes.
I read that many years ago, but before that, I didn't know that when we smile, we send the signal to our brain that we're happy. And your brain doesn't know any better. It's like, oh, well, I don't know what she saw, but something make her happy. So immediately send that dopamine all over your body, and suddenly you're joyful just because you smile. It takes so little. We are such a perfect machine. We're built to serve ourselves and we take advantage of 5% of it. when there is so much more that we could use.
And actually, just you saying the 5%, that reminds me of something that came to mind earlier when you were saying about the pause and the space.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, 80% of everything that we're doing gets to be reset and supported and strengthened when we pause. It's
Mm-hmm.
only that 20%, which is that actual active, let's go do it. The 80% is let's be. Let's
Right.
take a moment to pause. Let's take a moment to think of something we loved doing as a kid and how can we enjoy that now? Maybe the exact same thing we get to do. We get to have a bowl of ice cream. We get to put like all the toppings on there, or we
Yeah.
get to go skip. We get to go swing, you know, whatever you enjoyed as a kid, work
Mm-hmm.
out how can you get that same joyful feeling today or tomorrow, or at least in the next week, because it's so important and really helps you, feel happier and just helps your mental health overall, which is so important.
Do you feel like life's challenges are holding you back from becoming the woman you're meant to be? Well, it is time to take charge of your journey and reclaim your power. I want to introduce you to my free downloadable workbook. It's called Empowered Journey: Overcoming Challenges and Embracing Abundance. This workbook is designed to help you identify the obstacles in your life, map out actionable steps to overcome them, and stay motivated with daily affirmations. Download it today and start your journey to becoming the most empowered version of yourself. The first step to change is just one click away. Let's grow together. The link is in the description of this episode. And now, back to the show. And I wanted to tap a little bit on that because I think that it is as important the way we speak to ourselves. Now, I remember one of my daughters when she was little, she said to me, I don't want to go to school. What do I have to go to school? And I said to her, you don't have to. You don't have to go to school. If you don't want to go to school, don't go. And she goes, really? And I go, yeah. And then she's like, she paused, right? And she's looking at me like, what's the trick here? And I go, well, the thing is that if you don't go to school, you're not going to learn anything. And then you won't be able to go to college, or you won't be able to get a job. You won't be able to support yourself. You probably will end up homeless because you won't be able to make money to pay your bills, to pay your rent. But that's entirely up to you. So at the end of the day, you don't have to go to school. You get to go to school. And when you do that little shift and you change those words that perhaps annoys us or make us feel down, but we find a way, to talk to ourselves with words that motivate us, that empower us, then the whole idea, the whole perception of the situation changes. So she was like, oh, I don't want to be living in the street. I don't want to do that. And I go, so you get to go to school. And she goes, okay, I'll be ready. And she went and got ready. And I was like, huh. And that was an experiment. I really didn't know what I was doing. But then I started thinking how amazing it is that just shifting that little word from I have to I get to changed the perception of what was coming for her. And immediately she was more willing to do it. And we can do that with ourselves every day. We don't have to do anything. We get to do it. You get to wake up early and see the sunrise. You get to take a walk in the cold weather and feel the cold in your face and the breeze in your hair. We get to do those things. And when we choose that, we're choosing for ourselves. We're choosing ourselves. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. And I wish I'd come across that shift before I did. I think I was probably 40 when I heard that. And I went, wow. So, yeah, my girls know it. And like, how different would it have been if
Mm-hmm.
that's, how I thought of things before? Because it instantly gives you choice,
Yeah.
gives you that daily reminder, that moment to moment reminder of choice. I get to, I get
Yeah.
to choose. I get to choose joy. I get to choose peace. I get to choose motivation, happiness, whatever it is that you're looking for. Like you said, even just shifting that, just that being one of the first things you think to yourself when you wake up. today I get to, and then you can pick
Yeah.
one thing, like one
Hmm.
positive thing,
Yeah.
and then you watch how much that will change your day. It's so powerful. Language is
Because
amazing.
we really get to choose our thoughts. And those thoughts will create that emotion the same way we choose if I'm going to have my hair up or I'm going to cut it or I'm going to put a dress or I'm going to wear, tennis shoes today. We choose our clothes every day, but we also can choose our thoughts and our emotions and decide what kind of a day we're going to have. And then once you make that commitment with yourself and you say, today I'm going to have a great day. And today I'm not going to be bothered by silly things. And today I'm not going to give my power away. And today I'm not going to let anybody tell me what kind of a day I'm going to have because I am the master of my domain. I get to choose. And those choices are going to be for me because when I am happy, I am a better mom, I am a better employee, I'm a better friend, I'm a better human, and we don't understand that because we're wired to think that when we choose us first, we're being selfish, we're being self-centered, we're being narcissistic, which all those things are in the world, but that doesn't mean not choosing yourself first. You have to choose yourself first because if not, you cannot help anyone. It's like in the plane when they tell you to put the mask on you first so you can assist somebody else. If you worry about assisting somebody else, you're gonna be dead in the process because you won't have the oxygen to keep on helping the person put the mask on, So it's like logically we choose ourselves first because that's what we should do. But we are not taught that when we were kids. And going back to what you were saying earlier, when you said, and I'm bringing this up because sometimes my clients will say that I wish I would have known this 10 years ago. I wouldn't be married that long, or I wish I would have. You probably were not ready to receive that. You probably were not open to hear somebody saying that to you. You probably would have disregarded it. So you received it in the moment that you were supposed to receive it. And whatever happened before for you, not to you, was to prepare you for that moment when you were willing and open to receive that information, and that information click because you were open to receive it. So yeah, you got it at 40, and yay that you got it at 40 because you could be 80. I know people that are 80 years old and they go to church and they do a lot of things, but I know they're miserable inside themselves. I know they're not happy. I know that they don't wake up with joy, in how sad it is to live your whole life with those feelings. So you got it at 40, good for you. Good for you, because now you know that from 40 on, you're going to live your best life. And that's what we're here for. People think, oh, yeah, we came to this world to learn lessons, but those lessons don't have to be all painful. They don't. You can find some joy in between lessons, like the commercials, like when we pause. That is a joyful moment. I'm giving a commercial to my day. I'm going to pause. That's what I'm going to do right now. So, but it's that knowledge that we don't have it until we have it. And once we have it, we cannot unsee it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that same kind of saying. You only know when you know. And
Hmm.
when you know.
You
But
know,
until you know, you don't know.
that is true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
This is so
Yeah.
good. This is so good. So in I I was curious to ask you, you always incorporate animals because you have two different businesses, right?
Yeah, it feels like two different businesses. For
Mm-hmm.
me, the services that I end up providing, they're
Mm-hmm.
basically the same.
Okay.
So there's Reiki, animal Reiki training, and that's, supporting people with just connecting into that energy. The animal
Mm-hmm.
Reiki training is supporting people so they can go share with other animals. So
Okay.
again, it's finding that pause.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same, it's doing emotional release. So releasing all of that old emotional baggage just
Mm-hmm.
in an energetic way. So it can be a hands off way. So perfect for like rescue animals, and also
Right.
people that just find talking and words too much in that
Mm,
time. So
mm-hmm.
it can be a silent support for people. And then there's the like the leadership mentoring, the life coaching, and that's this kind of stuff. So that's talking and taking people through like different processes. I've done so many different modalities over the years.
Mm-hmm.
What I've combined is just like my connected wisdom. So, what I've experienced, and then all those different certifications and things, but then just put it into a package that actually supports people. So, meet you where you are, and then
Mm-hmm.
supports you to go make whatever changes it is that you want to make. And of course, as you're going through that coaching, as I'm sure you have with your clients, what people want changes because they start to listen to themselves. They
Yeah.
start to understand, who am I? What do I actually want to go create? What do I
Mm-hmm.
actually want to enjoy in my life? And then it's just supporting them so that they realize they can do it and
Right, because
celebrating.
they give themselves permission to, and that's so important. What do you think is your superpower?
Ooh. So immediately listening came
Mm,
into mind, and then empathy and transformation. So for me, it's that's like guidance. It can be silent because a
mm-hmm.
lot of what people to start with need is just to be heard,
Right.
to be understood, to be supported and respected. Like life goes so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
people get lost and people don't feel seen and they don't feel heard and they do not feel important. But everybody is. Every single person is unique and amazing exactly as they are. And if I
Yeah.
could wave a magic wand and everyone could just feel that, wow, what a different world we will wake up to tomorrow.
100%. Sometimes when I talk to my clients, is that, and even with my kids, I would say, I would like to give you my glasses, these invisible glasses that allows me to see you how I see you, so you can see yourself the same way. Because it's very hard when and I'm sure you go through this too, when you are with a client and they don't see the progress. They keep on going, they don't see the progress. And then you have to kind of bring it up and say, but do you remember how far you have come? And 6 months ago where you were, or 3 months ago where you were, look where you are now. You have a savings account now. You moved to a different neighborhood that you wanted to. You changed your job. You lost that weight, but they don't see it because our brain make us focus on what is still a problem. So it's like we find the solution for A, B, and C. We're going to put it in the back burner. Now we're going to keep on looking for what's wrong with me.
Yeah. And I think those are the most important changes. Understanding that we get to reframe
Mm-hmm.
all of that negative self talk and it gets to be like positive language. So the I get tos, and, just for today, I will be. So stepping away from the old shoulds and the old nots and shouldn'ts, just releasing them. Goodbye, you're gone.
Especially the shoulds, because
Yeah.
I should do this or I should have done that. That's also a rewire. We have to do a rewiring. I always say we need to unbecome to be able to become, because in the process from when we are kids until we become aware of our choices, we just follow what everybody else tells us that we should do. You should have a kid at this age. You should get married at this age. You should go with this job. You're good at this. You should be that. I had a client, I haven't talked about this in a long time, but I had a client that was an accountant. And one day we were having a conversation and I said to her, do you love your job? And she goes, I hate it. And I said, why are you an accountant? And she goes, well, my dad was an accountant and, my grandfather had a company and so I was good at math. So they told me that that's what I should do. And I said, what would you like to do? And she said, I wanted to be a choreographer. I was like, wait. Because I mean, I thought she was gonna say, I don't know, an architect, maybe you work with numbers, or a doctor, right? She said, I wanted to be a choreographer. My jaw dropped. I'm like, oh, um, how come you're not a choreographer? And she said, well, when I was a kid, I went to a show in school, and I loved it. And I realized that that's what I love. I love the music, I love the dancing, whatever. But I didn't want to disappoint my parents. And that's another thing that, I'm writing a book about parenting, and I'm dedicating a whole chapter about this because we as parents don't understand the influence that we have in our kids. You should do this, you should. I did it with my youngest one too for many years, you should do this, you should do that. And she was following. And like a couple of months ago, she said to me, I don't like my job. And I said, I am not going to tell you what to do. You got to figure it out because I've been telling you what to do. I feel guilty because, yeah, she's very talented. And the kid is brilliant in everything she does. I mean, it's not because she's my daughter, but she's very good in everything she tries. So for me, was never a, I never had to ask myself, was this the right calling for her? Because she was thriving. I'm thinking this should be her calling because she's doing great. But I never stop and think why she's not happy with this. She might be successful. She might be loving it. When she was living in here in town, she was making a lot of money. She was happy and everything. But she moved to California now. But she's not happy. She's not happy with her job. So I said to her, I am not gonna tell you what to do because the default was, let's call mom, and mom, what should I do? And then, I would come up with three or four different things that she could do. And I felt so proactive, because I'm giving her all these choices, until I really took a step back and I realized I'm doing a disservice to her because she needs to find her calling on her own. And it doesn't matter if it takes 1, 2, 3, or 5 years. What it is that I want for my kid is for my kid to be happy, not to make me happy, because I'm going to be happy just watching her being happy. But if she's going to be doing things because she thinks that that's what I want her to do or what she should do, I don't want her to be my 55-year-old client that is unhappy because she always wanted to be a choreographer and she's an accountant. No. But we learn those things, talking to people and experimenting different situations and having that aha moment like, oh, okay. So I always tell my girls, God allows U-turns. If you are going that direction and that's not your direction and you find out halfway through, it's okay to make a U-turn and go back the other direction, because at the end of the day, you owe to yourself to find what makes you happy, period. What makes you happy. Not what makes me happy or your sister's happy or your boyfriend happy. What makes you happy.
Woo! Celebrating you, Mama.
Thank
That's
you.
beautiful.
It took
And
me a minute though.
but it's okay. It gets to
Mhm.
take us a minute because just as you were saying before, my journey at every step, like I've loved every step, even
Mhm.
the painful ones, even the ones I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, is there a way that we could have skipped that part? But no, there isn't. Each
No.
and every part is there for a purpose, and it's helped
Mhm.
me support other people and help me support like my girls and say, hey, we get the choice. And it's coming back round to that choice. Like it's
Mhm.
their choice. They all get to choose their own joy, their own purpose.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the most powerful thing there is.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Liz, this has been so enlightening. I really enjoy having you in the show, and I'm sure that everybody else can feel your beautiful energy. Um, is there anything you would like to add? Is there any retreat or something that is coming your way that people can? I'm going to have all your links so they can connect with you. But is there anything you would like to share that is coming?
Oh, amazing. So I think the one thing is a rest retreat, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be like a virtual online one. So you get to rest in your own space. I'll do some like guided meditations, some activities, some like simple self care practices. but it will be how you choose. It gets to be your chosen rest
Mm-hmm.
retreat. And it's something that was at the back of my mind. And the more that we've gone through and speaking today, I'm like, yes, that gets to be the next thing. So
Oh, I
you've
love that.
heard it
You
here
got
first.
confirmation.
I'm listening. Universe, I'm listening.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you very much for being in the show. I so much appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to see, all the changes that you're making. And I'm going to keep an eye on you because I think that you're a light and I really enjoy having you.
Oh, thank you so much. I super appreciate being here and your connection. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.